إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون وقال أيضا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Dear brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, we begin today by praising Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send peace and blessings upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon his companions, and upon all those who have treaded in their footsteps of righteousness and piety. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He make us from the people who are righteous, and that on the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us amongst the Salihin, Siddiqeen, and the Shuhada. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to live our lives accordingly. Dear brothers and sisters, if we were to ask ourselves today that 3 years from now or 5 years from now, where will I be? What would be our answer to ourselves? Right? So I'll ask the question again. If I had to ask myself, if you had to ask yourself today that 5 years from now, or let's say 3 years from now, or maybe a year from now today, where will I be? Where will I be in the sense that, where will I be as a Muslim? Where will I be as a father or a mother, as a parent? Where will I be as a community member? Or where will I be as an employee or a business owner? Whatever the case. If we cannot answer that question, then the reality is that we have no direction. If you jump in your car today and you're driving and someone stops you, let's say the police stops you, and they say, sir, where are you driving to? You say, I really don't know. I just got in my car and I'm just driving around. Right? You have no destination. Likewise in life, if you cannot answer the question, where am I going to be a year from now? Where am I going to be 3 years from now? Where am I going to be 5 years from now? That means you really have no destination. That means you're just letting things happen. That means you're just letting everything else control you, and you're acting or you're responding reactively. If this happens, then you do this. If that happens, then you do this. There's no direction, there's no control. For Muslims, that is not the way we should live our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ Where are you headed? Where are you going? This is the question which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks the people who disbelieve in Allah, the people who disbelieve in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ What are you thinking? Where are you headed? Right? What are you doing with your life? And this is a question we need to ask ourselves. This is the question which Allah is asking us in the Quran. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ Where are you going? As Muslims, our first and foremost objective and goal in life is to worship Allah, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah makes that very clear in the Quran. He says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ That we have not created you except for the purpose of worshipping me, meaning worshipping Allah. So if that's our ultimate goal in life, if that's the reason why Allah has created us, then we need to be aware of where we're headed. That means a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, we should be able to answer the question that a year from now, I'm going to be a better Muslim. 3 years from now, I'm going to be a better Muslim. 5 years from now, I'll be a better Muslim than I am today. And I will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than I am doing today. This is very important to have. In the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, and this is a hadith all of us are familiar with. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, the hadith on intention, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالِ بِالنِّيَّاتِ That all actions are based on intentions. You know the example we gave before? A person jumps in the car and they're just driving around. No intention. They don't know where they're headed. They don't even know why they got in the car. There's no intention, no purpose behind what they're doing. When we read the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this very well-known hadith, this famous hadith, ask almost everyone, young or old, they are very aware and familiar with this hadith. They hear it every week, if not every day. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. That actions are based on a person's intentions. Meaning the actions that we do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge us for our actions based on our intentions. But what if we are people who don't even have intentions? What if we just live our lives every single day without any intention, without any purpose? We just wake up every morning, I go to work. What's my intention? I don't know, I just need to work. Or we wake up and we spend time with our family. What's your intention? I don't know, I'm just spending time with my family. We have no purpose, we have no goal. You look at the Quran, you look at the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it becomes very clear that as Muslims, number one, we have to have some sort of destination in life. And number two, we have to have some intention behind everything we do. Everything needs to be intentional. Everything needs to have purpose. Whether we're spending time with our family, there needs to be some sort of intention. There needs to be some sort of purpose. It's not I'm just laying here today because I don't have any work. There has to be intention behind it. It's not just I'm going to work because I signed up for this, and if I don't go to work, my boss is going to fire me. There has to be intention behind it. There has to be purpose behind it. And one step further, there has to be a destination behind it. That if I'm spending time with my family, if I'm coming to the masjid, if I'm coming for Jum'ah, what is my intention and what is my destination? Where will spending time with my family today get me a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? If we don't have all these things set in mind, then our children will grow up and there will be no change. Our lives will pass by and there won't be any change. If we're lost today and we don't know where we're headed, then 5 years from now we'll be in the same place. Oh, I have no idea what happened in the past 5 years because we had no direction. So Allah makes it very clear. The Quran makes it very clear. The Sunnah of Rasulullah makes it very clear. That as Muslims, we have to have a clear destination of where we want to go. And number two, whatever we do, every single day, every single action has to have some sort of intention behind it. And those intentions are supposed to be in line with our destination. So if our destination is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if our destination in life is to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a good manner, that in a manner where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased by us, then every single action needs to have that intention. That spending time with my family, going to work, coming to the masjid for Jum'ah, or whatever the case, is there an intention that is bringing me closer to my destination? Allah makes that very clear in the Quran. The Sunnah of Rasulullah makes that very clear. So, as we mentioned, that as Muslims, that's our ultimate destination in life. Or that's the ultimate purpose in life. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That we have not created you except for my worship. So, I want to spend a few minutes speaking about what exactly is worship. In Arabic, the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses يَعْبُدُونَ. In other words, ibadah. Right? The scholars of tafsir, they mention that يَعْبُدُونَ over here, the meaning of it is يَعْرِفُونَ. In other words, the first and foremost objective of a Muslim is to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the worship, the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what exactly is this word ibadah? What does it mean? The word ibadah, you can break it down to two different types. You have one type of ibadah which is direct, and you have the other type of ibadah which is indirect. The direct form of ibadah is praying our salah, fasting, reading the Quran, giving sadaqah, clear-cut actions that I'm doing this only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second type of ibadah, which is just as important, is the indirect form of ibadah, which are things we do on a daily basis. Every single day we have to do it. But based on our intentions, we will either be rewarded or punished or no reward at all. Indirect forms of ibadah include eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, earning a livelihood, having a business, going to a job. if our intention behind doing all these things are correct and in line with the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we will be rewarded. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have not created you except for my worship, it does not mean that Allah is saying the only thing we need to be doing is praying salah, reading the Quran, engaging in dhikr, or giving sadaqah. It's much more than that. You studied the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Last week we spoke about the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum. You studied the life of the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum. They did so many different things. They lived their lives, they had families, they had occupations and jobs and businesses. But the difference between them and us was that there was intention, there was purpose. And every single thing they did on a daily basis was in line with their overall destination, which is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Day of Judgment in a good manner. So it goes back to our hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالِ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that everything we do is based on our intentions. So we have to ask ourselves that what are the things in life that we're doing right now? And how much intention do we have behind it? But even before all this, there's one, we need to go back even further, right? We need to go back even further and speak about how we even came to this. The first and foremost, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says that our purpose in life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the immediate question is, how do we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? How do we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So even before we start speaking about doing this, having the right intention and doing that, the first and foremost responsibility of a believer is ilm, knowledge. It's interesting to note that the first ayahs that were revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Iqra. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. That read in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has created you. That's how our deen begins, through reading, through understanding, through seeking knowledge. And that is the basis of our deen. That if we do not know what our deen is teaching us, what our deen wants from us, there is no way we can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and live our lives correctly. So the first and foremost aspect, or the first and foremost requirement and responsibility of a believer is to learn. Learn as much as they can about the Quran, learn as much as they can about the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and learn as much as they can about how they need to live their lives as Muslims. That is the first and foremost step. And we want to share a few hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the importance, virtues and rewards of seeking knowledge, right? If you open up the books of hadith, in fact, if you open up Riyadh al-Salihin, Riyadh al-Salihin is a book of hadith we read every night after Isha. And there's an entire chapter in there about the rewards of a person who spends time learning about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And there's many hadith. And we want to make this very clear that when the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is speaking about the reward a person will get for seeking knowledge or embarking on the journey of knowledge, it is specifically referring to the knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah. Because it is the knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah that will ultimately affect everything else that we do in life, right? So at the end of the day, if a person is pursuing some sort of career, or at the end of the day, if a person is at school or in college or some sort of university, and they're pursuing a career, if their intention is correct, inshallah they will be rewarded, right? But we should not misunderstand or misquote the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or wrongly apply. That when you read the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about all the rewards of seeking knowledge, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the same reward of going to university and becoming a doctor as the person who's spending their time learning about the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaking about the virtues of knowledge, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that the person who embarks on the journey of knowledge, The person who who starts the path of knowledge, that they've made the intention that I'm going to learn as much as I can about the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the way of Jannah easy for that person. Right? That's the first hadith. If you make and remember, making this intention doesn't mean you have to stop doing everything today and you have to, go overseas or enroll in a full-time Islamic seminary or an Islamic school. That's not what the hadith is talking about. The hadith is talking about if you simply make that intention, that from today onwards, I'll spend maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or if daily is an issue, maybe weekly, but you make that intention that from today onwards, for the rest of my life, I will learn as much as I can about the hadith and the Quran of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran, then inshallah you will be considered as this person that's mentioned in the hadith, that they have now started and embarked on the journey of learning about the Quran and the Sunnah. And inshallah your way to Jannah will be made easy. Right? Another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, مَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ, that the person for whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses them and gives them the opportunity to learn about the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if that's the intention a person has made, then understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants good for you. And the reality is there are many people out there, right? Maybe not in our country, not in America, but there's many people out there in third world countries where they want to learn, but they may not they may not know how to read. There's still so many people out there today that don't know how to read. They grew up in areas or villages or countries where the education system is not strong. They're 30, 40 years old. They don't know how to read, right? They don't even know how to sign their name. But they have a strong desire to learn, right? On the other hand, you have people who may know how to read and write, but they don't have any access. They don't have access to books. They don't have access to resources. They don't have any access to teachers that will teach them. So there's people out there that have that desire, that want to learn about the Quran and the Sunnah, but for whatever circumstances they can't. Alhamdulillah, in our country, for all of us, I think all of us are literate. All of us know how to read, if not English, in our own language. Many of us know how to read Arabic. Many of us speak Arabic. And with today's technology, we have access not only to real life people, but even at the convenience of our home, when you're driving, there's so many resources that are out there. So there's really no excuse, because I know for sure, we spend tons of time watching sports, right? Listening to useless. It's not going to make, if you watch sports, it's not going to make you, thinner. Right? You're overweight and you're watching sports. It's not going to get you in better shape. Go out and take a walk. It'll be better for you, right? But we spend so much time with sports. We spend so much time with other things. If we cannot spend or sacrifice or give up 15 to 20 minutes of our time to read Quran, to read the translation of the Quran, to learn about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to listen to a lecture. It's so easy for us now that if you drive to work, the 20 or 30 minutes or 1 hour that it takes you to drive to work, you can put on a lecture and listen to a lecture. You can listen to Quran, right? What else are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to sports commentary for 2 hours straight in your commute? Are you going to listen to music for 2 hours straight? Why not spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes, listen to something different? Inshallah, something that will make you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will get closer to our destination. So that's the first and foremost responsibility of a Muslim, that we have to learn as much as we can about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once a person is aware of what Allah wants from me, once a person is aware of what our responsibilities are, then inshallah we can begin to worship Allah. Because a person who doesn't know and they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of ignorance, that's not a good situation, right? A part of ibadah, part of ibadah is to know the basic requirements, right? There's no excuse for a Muslim to say, I didn't know how to pray. Unless you're stuck in the middle of a jungle, you have no access to anyone, right? That's different. But for the most part, all of us, there's no excuse for us not to know the basics. So that's where it starts off, with understanding and realizing what the basic requirements are, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us as far as our knowledge is concerned. Then moving forward, we know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. We went over the fact that as Muslims, our destination is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to live a life in accordance to the Sunnah and the Quran. But from time to time, it's difficult to stay consistent. From time to time, it becomes very difficult to stay on track and focused. But the beauty of our deen is that if a person does the basic things, then inshallah, they will not have a difficult time staying focused. Right? When a person understands and realizes why they're doing what they're doing, then it will be easy to continue on. So inshallah, we'll speak more about that in the second khutbah of today's Jummah. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن المجيد ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم استغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. Dear brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, so we spent a few minutes speaking about the purpose of a Muslim's life, the destination where we as Muslims should be headed. And that as Muslims, it's imperative, it's necessary for us to live with intention. That we shouldn't let life just pull us around, right? That there has to be intention behind everything we do. We have to have some sort of destination. You don't just enroll in college or university and say, I don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't know where I'm headed, right? There has to be some sort of destination in mind. And we spoke about, as Muslims, what that destination is. And we spoke about the preliminaries, that in order to find out what our destination in life is, what our purpose in life is, it starts off by learning about the Quran, learning about the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the more we learn about the Quran, the more we learn about the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the more the deen will become important to us. The less you know about it, the more insignificant the deen will be to you, right? It's like, you give someone a cell phone, right? You give someone the latest cell phone, which can do so many different things. And in today's time, the latest cell phone is really like a computer, right? You can do so many things with it. And you give someone a cell phone, and the only thing the person knows how to do with it is make a phone call. That's it. They don't know anything else because they haven't put the time to learn about it. They think that the only thing that this phone can do for me is make phone calls. So if I ever need to send out an email, if I ever need to take a picture, or if I ever need to do whatever I need to do, I need other applications, I need other resources, I need other devices. For that person, that cell phone will have no value to them because it's only good for one thing. But in reality, that cell phone is very valuable. That cell phone can make that person independent of so many other devices, so many other applications, so many other apps. But that person doesn't know. It's very similar with our deen. If a person isn't aware of all the things that our deen has to offer, then our deen is just something that it's something we do because I saw my family doing it. If a person doesn't take the time to learn about the deen, then it's just something, it sometimes comes in the way of enjoying life. It's just something I have to do every now and then because, what are people going to say if they don't see me in the masjid today? Right? That's what the deen boils down to afterwards. Because we fail to realize how much the deen has to offer. But you can't learn, a person will not realize that if they don't know what it has to offer. A person will not realize the value of deen if they're not taking any time to learn about the deen. Just like how the person who's walking around with a $1,000 cell phone, the only thing they know is that this cell phone can make a phone call and that's all it's good for. Right? They don't know that it has a camera. They don't know you can send out email. They don't know that you can browse the internet. They don't know that you can, do so many other things with it. They don't know that. Why? Because they haven't, no one's either explained it to them or they haven't taken the time to learn. Right? So whose fault is that? It's that person's fault. So if we feel that our deen doesn't have anything to offer, then we need to ask ourselves, how much about the deen do we know? So that's the first and foremost step, that we need to learn as much as we can about our deen. Number two, the second step is, in life, we always get bombarded with different things, and Allah mentions in the Quran, Allah makes it very clear in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test us with different things in life, right? And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test us with sickness, poverty, hunger, whatever it may be, it completely throws us off balance. It makes us forget about the purpose of our life. And it's at that point when we need to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the most, right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it's the people who are patient that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward. So the beautiful thing about our deen is that if a person simply does the basic requirements, they will stay focused and they will always be in line with their final destination. Think about the basic requirements that we have as Muslims. Every single day we have to pray 5 times a day, right? The purpose of our salah is to remind us of Allah. That's our final destination, right? Every week we have Jummah salah, right? We see the community. We hear the khutbah, right? We hear the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every year we have to fast, right? Once in our lifetime we have to go for Hajj. So the beauty of our deen is that it's designed in a way that if we simply do the actions, then inshallah the destination will already come. All you have to do is learn and do. That's it. So with that being said, dear brothers and sisters, inshallah may Allah allow us to realize the importance of our purpose in life, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to live our lives with purpose and meaning, not just, I'm living my life and I have no direction. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow all of us to reach our final destination, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a state where Allah is pleased with us. Ameen. So inshallah, with that being said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we mentioned, grant all of us guidance and purpose in our lives. آمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه ولا تكفرون أقيموا الصلاة